Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Vivek Singh. I'm from Department of English, Banaras Hindu University. I have been teaching in the Department of English past 10 years. And as you know that we have launched this course, an introduction to disability studies. And if you are going through my videos, you must have noticed by now that I have invested more than 8 to 9 years in this field. So I felt that this field is extremely significant for humanities and social science student because it's not only limited to disability studies scholar, but if you are doing medical humanities, if you are doing trauma studies, if you are doing uh, culture studies, you name any field, it engages with the body. So since it engages with the body, any discipline, any engagement with the research of any particular area becomes extremely significant. So disability studies should not be only studied to know the concerns associated with disability, people with disability, which I have been constantly reiterating in my lectures as well, because this is a myth. We believe in that disability studies is for people with disability. Women's studies is for women. However, these fields are meant for all the people who are investing in humanities and social science. So let me give you an example to make it clear for you. So for example, if you are doing, let's say, trauma studies, right? So how do you approach trauma is also important, that how do you think about the human body, right? So once you know the human bodies, then only you can discuss more about people with disabilities and also about the other humans. So this field is what I wanted to do in this course, just to tell and circulate this idea that we should do disability studies despite the fact whether we belong to the particular category called disability or we are beyond that. So in the initial lecture, what I have done, if you see, I have not focused on disability, but rather I have given a theoretical framework to understand that how body can be studied. So once we know what the body is about, once we know how body emerges in a particular socio-political cultural context, then we can understand any form of bodies. Let's say, for example, even if we are doing post-colonial studies, if you see, interestingly, the entire post-colonial studies is not beyond the body discourse. So disability studies is in general is about the body, and in particular it's about people with disabilities. So if you see the recent trend that are emerging in research, or let's say, for example, not only in research, even if the recent trends, the way we are reading and engaging with disability studies in NEP, National Education Policy. After the National Education Policy, you see that most of the universities has accepted disability studies as an elective or mandatory course for all. So initially it was not there, but after like past 3 to 4 years, if you see, this course is being taught in almost every universities. The purpose is that disability studies addresses the important concern, important conceptual ideas which are relevant to all the fields despite your interest in disability studies or not. So which is why this field, this study is extremely significant. So for example, I have many students who are doing research in different field, but when it comes to knowing the body, they always go back and understand that what disability studies is about. For example, I'm sure that I have been talking about this book, Leonard J. Davis' book, Enforcing Normalcy. If you see the title, Enforcing Normalcy, is more about how norms are imposed over us, right? And or be beyond the normative structure, right? Even if it is, let's say, sexuality studies, or let's say you name any field. So there are many people who are talking about disability, they are talking about the bodies. So this course becomes extremely significant for any of us who are engaging with humanities and social sciences. That's the one point that I wanted to make. Second point I wanted to make is, if you see that the title is An Introduction to Disability Studies, and which is why I have designed this particular course, keeping in the mind the students who are beginner, who are showing the interest, or who are initially engaging, or who are interested in disability studies, and also those who wants to study about the body. So I just got the information that week 6 videos have been uploaded. So if you see that 1 week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, and I'm sure that you must have gone through so far. So if you see that they all are not directly talking about people with disabilities, but they are more talking about what the body is about. What is a cultural body? What is a sports body? How we are supposed to understand the body, right? And not going very deep, but rather just to give an overview of disability studies. Let's say I'm talking about theory of embodiment. I'm talking about aesthetics. I'm talking about perceptions. I'm talking about stigma. I'm talking about deafness. I'm talking about deformity. And I'm also giving many terminologies which are associated with disability studies. So the very idea why I'm engaging with these kind of discourses is so that you can have an overview what the field is all about. You can really understand how to understand disability studies and how to understand the body. And once you finish this course, you will have a very comprehensive understanding of body studies and all the important theoreticians who are extremely significant if you're a student of humanities and social science. Let's say, for example, I have talked about Derrida, Foucault, Butler. So all those thinkers, if you see, we all read even in our UG courses or in PG courses, right? But I have told that how they are relevant when we are doing disability studies. So the connection that I built it up, and why did I do that? So that you can understand that disability studies is a field which are very much related to humanities and social sciences. And in the end, like after the week 6, if you read week 8, week 9, week 10, if you watch those videos, I have picked up how it is related to the literature, how it is related to the films, and also how popular culture and media studies has taken up the idea of the body. So those who are doing research, or those who are interested in doing research in disability studies, for them, if they go on the later part of my lectures, what I mean to the later part of my course, which means week 8, week 9, week 10, week 11. So you will see that I have given all the important research projects which are done in disability studies, and what are the future possibilities, which I'm talking extensively in week 12, that what are the important area where there is a still lacuna exist and we can take up for future and further research. So I have like how I have planned this, and which is why I wanted to have this live session with my students so that they can understand what I want from my students and what I have planned for my students. So initially what I'm doing is I am explaining them the important concepts, important concerns, important major trends in disability studies, and all the important concepts and terminologies, going deep into that and how they are concerned with masculinities, femininities, sexualities. And then later on, I'm talking about their relevance in literature and films. And then in the end, I'm talking about the future possibilities, right? How you can ask your students, or how you can do research in disability studies. So this is what my entire plan was. And I can see that I'm happy to see that you all are putting up the questions and it is being answered. And in case if you have any query, any point of time, you can get back to me and I can personally answer, and we can have more live session like this the way I'm having it today. All right. So in case if you have any questions, if you think that there's any problems you are facing with the course or any kind of problems, if you can name it out, or if you think you have something, please let me know. I will try to address it right now. So if you don't have any questions, I mean, I can also tell you that how to go further about the course, how to utilize maximum this course for future.
Sir, I have one question.
Okay, Sarmila, go on.
सर आपके लेक्चर्स तो बहुत डिटेल्स में हैं बट आई एम फ्रॉम एजुकेशनल साइकोलॉजी माय सब्जेक्ट
Okay.
इज साइकोलॉजी एंड वी आर आई एम टीचिंग from past 14-15 years inclusive education disability, specifically autism spectrum disorder, learning disability, intellectual and VIHI hearing, but your in English it is in very much details, means cultural perspectives and body. For me, certain theories are going very tough. And your PPTs and lectures, I want some additional materials. Although I have taken your references and some of the books I have downloaded. So should I read those books and also your lectures and PPT for an
So
easier explanation?
uh, thank you,
For
sir.
more details in that.
Okay, you are done.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Sarmila, for putting this up, and I'm very happy that we have students across disciplines, like not only from the English department, but also from education. In fact, if you see, and I'm sure that if you have noticed it, that I have not limited this course only for one discipline students. And obviously, because I kept in the mind English student as well, but I'm sure that you will see certain lectures are extremely useful for other disciplines. So for example, if you're talking about inclusive educations, right? So I'm sure that there are many lectures. If you see in the future weeks, you will see that I have talked about also the pedagogy and how to engage, like how to change the pedagogy for people with disabilities. Let's say, for example, you were talking about HI or VI or any form of disability that exists in our societies. Talking about the reading materials that you're suggesting, obviously, I have got these questions before as well from a few of my participants who know me, that we need more reading materials to understand. So, Sarmila, at this stage, I could tell you that there is a very good book and articles you can read by Nirmala Erveles. And in fact, I will give it to the dear Murli, who is organized this entire platform, like this Zoom videos, who is taking care of. So I will send some more materials to Murli, and I'm sure that he will upload, or the way you are receiving messages every week's update, like whether you got this lecture or videos and the feedback, so on and so forth. In the same way, I'm sure that he will suggest and he will give the reading materials to you. But at this stage, like if you're asking me, I would say that please look at the Nirmala Erveles, because Nirmala Erveles is specifically, there are some books and articles which she has talked about education and disability. And in that one, she is speaking about mainly about education and mainly about the pedagogy, right? What kind of a pedagogy is required to deal with people with disabilities? Because in my lecture, I also have mentioned this idea that in my lecture, I have also mentioned this idea that the pedagogy that we are trained with, and it's oppressive one, or it's, I would put it in the other ways, like it's more for the normal students, right? We do not even presume that even our pedagogy is biased, right? In fact, if you go on my 9th lecture, you will see that I have extensively talked about that how even the classrooms are not conducive for people with disabilities. Rather, the pedagogy and the structure of the classroom produces the discourse of normalcy. So, and until and unless we understand that, it is difficult for us to challenge that, right? To challenge that pedagogy. So, let's not talk more on this, but I will definitely address your concern. In fact, I will suggest some reading materials and you will receive in a couple of days. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
And do we have other questions, please? And there is some few from forum queries. Could you briefly summarize the objective of disability studies? All right. So this question was on the forum, which I am receiving it, which I received it. So let me tell you that what is the objective of disability studies? In fact, I just in the beginning of my 5 minutes, I outlined the objective of disability studies. So the first, and in fact, in every lecture's end, whenever the lecture I'm about to end, I'm talking about that we need to have a kind of society where everyone can feel equally participating and they can foster their ideas. And there is no discrimination, in fact, not on the basis of anything, but disability studies is more talking about that there should not be any form of discrimination which is based on body, right? Let's say, for example, if you go back, so there was a discrimination on the basis of race, which means to that, again, your body has a particular color, and on that basis you were discriminated. Then again, gender discrimination, again, it goes back to the body, which means to say that since you are born with some other form of a body, which is why you are discriminated. Then again, we have sexuality studies where homosexual people are discriminated. Again, it goes back to the body. So we just see that in some way or other way, we are being discriminated because the kind of a body or because of the materiality of the bodies, right? So disability studies is trying to challenge that there should not be any discrimination based on body, and also that disability studies so objective is not only to create an inclusive society for all, but also to develop a kind of a thinking which can challenge any form of imposing norms over us. So, I mean, as I have told very clearly in my lectures in the beginning itself, that disability studies has two-pronged approach. The one is, let's say, political one. For example, it has to do with fighting against the discrimination, fighting for the equal space, fighting for the rights, like the political one, which where you have to sometime raise your voice, talk to the people, discuss before ministries, right? So this is one. And the second one is academic one, like why we do not have a kind of a text which speaks about people with disabilities, right? Why in our everyday discourse, even in the classrooms or even in, let's say, for example, even in our curriculum or syllabi, we don't have a text prescribed that addresses the question of people with disabilities. So it tries to, like, if you're talking about disability studies, not about the course, so disability studies tries to address both the concerns, right? Political one and also the academic one. So, I mean, if you attending this lecture, I'm pretty sure that by the end, you will be pretty clear that what the objective of disability studies is about. Like what I have said, in addition to that, I have constantly talking about it every lecture, in every module I'm speaking about. Let's say, for example, when I'm talking about film studies and disability studies, right? There is I mean, not now, you will see in the further that there are, I have chosen certain films to talk about that, how media is also biased, right? So on many levels, we are we need to work not only politically but also academically to create a kind of society which is inclusive for all. And then there is a second question that is raised: what is disability, like regarding its history and notions? Dear students and friends, I have addressed this question in detail in week 1 and 2. In the week 1, I'm talking about the history of disability, and also I'm talking about what is disability, right? In fact, if you can stop my slides, you can see that I have given the definition itself. And let's say where I'm talking about disability, handicap, and impairment, right? And then I go on to say that how even the definition of disability given by WHO is also debatable. So please, it's my humble request that if you're watching the videos, please pause the videos. In fact, when I'm delivering the lecture, I'm constantly telling this that do not watch the entire videos in one go. Pause the videos, prepare the notes, and then go back again, right? So we'll talk about some other time about the reading strategies, but this is a one strategy that I would like to tell you now, that when you're watching the videos, please pause the videos, make a notes, then watch it again. And if any point of time, if you see there is any concern, there's a forum available for you. You can post the questions and it will be responded for sure. Then third, sir, I couldn't get this comparison of minorities and women to disabled. Yes, that's actually this question makes me believe that he or she is watching very carefully. So let me just tell in the one line what I'm talking about. Basically, there is a book by Tobin Siebers, and I would suggest to all of you to read that. There is a called Disability Theory. So it's my humble request that you watch it. So he's talking about like minority identity and disability. So what I am doing is I'm not comparing, but I'm saying that, in fact, that is what I spoke just now when the lecture is started with, that why disability studies is important for all of us. Okay, let me give a simple example, and then I think you can understand this. See, women, the discourse goes like this. When there was when feminist studies developed, it did not include third world women, right? For the very pretty reason that it doesn't concern them, and we should talk about our concern first. And women and when India women movement started, they did not include the people, women with disabilities, right? So when it talks about the minority, the one logic I'm talking about is talking about in the numerical numbers, right? Which means to say that people with disabilities are also in minorities, right? So rather than forming a group of, let's say, uh, fighting for sexuality, fighting for rights, these minority people, like whoever, like whatever the community and the caste and culture and body they belong to, they all can come together and then they can raise their concerns, right? So disability is something that combines them all. That's the point I'm making. Let's say, for example, if let's say you belong to homosexuality group, right? Let's say, for example, if you belong to homosexuality group, disability also concern you, right? It is disability is related to you. For like what I mean to say that eventually one can become disabled, right? You can be discriminated on the basis of not the identity that you belong to, but later what you can possess. For example, you can also become disabled, right? So in that way, if you see that disability is something that binds all the minority identity. That's the point I'm making when I'm talking about that how every minorities should take the uh, conceptual framework from disability, right? So disability is something that everyone can become or everyone is in one way or the other way. All right. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm saying that comparison of minorities, environmental disability. So I'm not basically comparing, but rather I'm suggesting that how minority identity can be helpful for all, right? So then, sir, will the exam questions be objective or descriptive? That Murli sir will answer right away. And what else we have? Then there is a question from Chetna. Good afternoon, sir. I, Chetna, research scholar from VIT Vellore. My question is, can be examined fiction using the social model of disability, especially those cases which deals with mental disability? Chetna, you can absolutely you can do this, right? Your question is very valid. In fact, if you see that my lecture number 9 or 10th, they are talking the same which you are asking. So in that lecture, I'm talking about that how we can critique the film from not only from the social model of disability, from other perspective as well. And in fact, there are many students who are from film studies. They have shown a huge interest in disability studies. So you can definitely do that. And then we have uh, Komal Rana, who is watching the videos from YouTube, and she's asking, sir, in medical and law, disability refers to the people with different abilities. Can you please clarify my question? And about the question paper, okay. Your question is not very clear, Komal, but what I presume you are asking that the way disability is defined in medical and legal discourse, it's more it's more on the abilities, right? So, Komal, I would say that there is a one entire lecture where I'm talking about ability and masculinity, right? So I would definitely request you to watch that video again, and I'm sure that that video has already been uploaded. You must watch where I'm talking about the ideology of ability. In fact, I have given all the bullet points which which concern with ideology of ability. So the point what I'm making, like if I have to answer to your question at this stage, so I would say that ability is a more constructed one, right? Uh, it's not inherent, right? It's not like we are born with certain abilities. It rather what society legitimizes that this is a kind of ability which we should accept it, right? So, in fact, I have given many examples and very lucid examples, which will give you a very clear idea that uh, how abilities should not be normalized, right? Or certain form of ability should not be prioritized. So, please watch that video again. And even if you have a problem, please get back to us, and I'm sure that we will respond to your questions, right? And then Sarmila is putting a question now. We don't use this labeling mental disabilities, intellectual impairment. Okay, so this is where I have discussed in one way that how language produces normative discourse in terms of people with disabilities. So this is still being debated, which term we should accept, which term we should not accept, right? Let's say, for example, what Sarmila is saying, mental disabilities, intellectual
So
impairment.
just this is for Komal's response.
Yes, yes.
Komal has used the word mental disability.
Yeah,
So it is now American Association for Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities. We also Modi's after Modi's lecture, Divyangjan, we have also changed our all the national institutes, and it is now National Institute for Empowerment of Persons with Intellectual Disabilities, and within brackets
yeah.
Divyangjan.
True, true. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, Sarmila, thank you for pointing this out. So yes, and I'm sure that we need to keep updated yourself, the kind of, and in fact, you see, uh, I was reading a book. I mean, just to tell you this, I mean, it will take a different, like different dimensions, but it depends on each one of us. And I would say that when we use any term, we should have our own way of our own way of arguing that why we are using it. So, for example, I have met many good disability scholars. They say that I'm more comfortable with people with disabilities. There are more people they talk about, I would say, disabled people, because more talks about embodiment. So I would suggest that obviously these are the terms which we should be familiar, because when you are writing a draft or something, then you have to use the term which is officially used. But when you are writing a research paper, or when you are like when you're writing a thesis, then make sure that you use you use the terms, and aware that why are you using it, right? Because in fact, when I'm talking about aspects, when I'm talking about different terminologies, I am requesting my students and friends that please don't use the word exchangeably or synonymously. They all have different connotations, they all have a different meaning. So be very careful. In fact, I have seen many students and scholars in humanities and social sciences, they use the term and in fact they don't know. For example, if you read a thesis or if you read an article, they use discrimination, marginalization, exclusion, subjugation, as if they all mean the same, right? But there is a very good book by Robert Jung, where it is clearly defined that what you mean when you say exclude, when you say someone is excluded, what you mean when you say someone is discriminated, what you mean when you say someone is marginalized, subjugated, so on and so forth. So she talks about certain forms of exclusion. So this is my humble request to you all, that be very careful when you use the terms. And that's how we learn, right? We engage, we understand, we think. And then, thank you, Sharmila, for your compliment. Yes. Any other questions that you have, or any other question that you have, or any problem that you are facing, or anything that you say, so that in next time I can be also aware what you wanted. Like, let's say, for example, Sarmila has talked about reading materials, which you all will be receiving very soon. So in that way, if you have something else to ask or talk, let me know. Any concerns, because then I can address this in my coming lectures or videos, or when I'm going to create another course.
सर डेट एक्सटेंड कर दीजिए प्लीज
For what, Sarmila?
सर फॉर आर ये क्विज सबमिशन के लिए मेरे 2 क्विज छूट गए सर
Okay, Sarmila, I think this is all taken care by IIT Kanpur, if I'm right, IIT Madras. So, dear Murli is here. I'm sure that he must have heard you. He will respond to your questions.
sir please sir because now we are professors and we have lots of engagement and seminars and presentations now in March and February. So doing this plus I also want your course also because it is integrated types and it will uplift our skills also.
Dear Sarmila, thank you. And I'm telling you, you have put the question on the forum, and I'm sure, Sarmila, that the people who are responsible, who are taking care of all this, they will definitely get back to you. And I'm sure that they will try to address your concern. Any other questions, please? Okay, so I mean, I would like to have more live session if you think that it is required. And this live session, you see that is very helpful in the sense that you can directly talk to me, you can directly ask me, and also very helpful for me, so that I can know what is missing and what I should include in my lectures, or what I should have added, and which I will add in my next course when I'm preparing, right? So this is for both of us, it's more engaging and fruitful. So I'm sure that because I like meeting my students, I like meeting to my friends, I want to know who is doing course, like and to know more about them, and they should know more about us. So we will have more live sessions, but please, if you want to have prepare questions, put the question and say that I would like to ask these questions when Vivek sir is going live. So we can have more engaging. So thank you, you all. So dear Murli, can we end the here?
Yes, we can end the session now, sir. And thank you so much for your valuable time. Thank you, participants. We will have one more session maybe after 2-3 weeks, sir, whenever you're free.
Yes, whenever, in fact, students or friends ask, but I'm sure that I would like to go one more time. I would like to have one more live session. So after a couple of weeks, you will get again email as you did.
Sure, sir. We will.
And we all must also thank dear Murli, who is taking all the pain to make it more accessible for all of us.
Happy to do it, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. So
Thank
thank you,
you, everyone.
participants. We are ending the session. Soon we will meet. Thank you all. So we are closing this session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.